Lashing out at Democrats with xenophobic lies about illegal immigrants stealing your healthcare is not working for Donald Trump during his shutdown disaster. One, because he can't communicate the message, because he can't communicate any message. He's slurring all his words. He can't even stand to talk anymore, but also because it's a flat-out lie. The only people stealing your healthcare are billionaires and Donald Trump. So instead of attacking Democrats, Donald Trump has shifted policy, and he's shifted his objective, which is now attacking Republicans. Yes, making threats against members of his own party in deranged Truth Social meltdowns that we're going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into two insane posts from Trump, I want to start with what is causing his anger on Truth Social, and that's the chaos in Congress that Rachel Maddow broke down right here.
Now, to be clear, there's nothing about the government shutdown that requires Congress to be out of session. They're supposed to be in session. But for a fifth straight week, they are calling in sick, canceling class, refusing to convene the House, and perhaps not incidentally, refusing to swear in the new member of Congress from Arizona, Adelita Grijalva, who won a special election last month. But they won't allow her to be sworn in, and they won't say why, but Democrats will say why they think it is, and it's because she would be the 218th and therefore the deciding vote to force a release of the Epstein files, in which President Trump himself reportedly plays a fairly starring role. Trump's attorney general has reportedly told him his name appears in the Epstein files multiple times. Trump, perhaps unsurprisingly, is refusing to release those files. But once Adelita Grijalva is sworn in, they may no longer legally be able to refuse the release of those files any longer. And so we are now heading into a fifth straight week of Republicans refusing to convene the House of Representatives, a fifth straight week of unplanned vacation. Apparently just to try to protect Trump from whatever is in those Epstein files about him. On day 17 of the government shutdown, government workers and military families are lining up at food pantries all over the country. Trump is apparently excited to have another crack at firing the people involved in keeping our nuclear weapons safe. They're citing the shutdown to go through with an 80% furlough of the National Nuclear Security Administration as of Monday morning. Remember, they accidentally fired all the national nuclear security people right at the beginning of Trump's term in office, and then they said, oops, we didn't mean to do that, and they brought them all back. Well, now they are furloughing all of them. These are the people who keep our nuclear weapons safe from, theft or going off when they shouldn't. Yeah, who needs them? Democrats say their price for relenting on the shutdown is that Republicans need to reverse their changes to health insurance. Their policy changes that are going to spike people's health insurance costs in very short order, almost by almost unbelievable amounts. And I will show you what I mean. States are now starting to release the actual numbers on what the Republicans' policy changes have done to health insurance costs with this legislation that they've passed this year. This is what the Democrats have been making a stink about. You've heard, Democrats are concerned in the shutdown fight about healthcare costs and health insurance, and you think oh, Democrats are always concerned about health costs. That's nice. I care about health costs. I'm glad they're standing up for it. No, it's this specific thing. You want to know what the Democrats are making a stink about with the shutdown? You want to know what the Democratic side is of the fight over the shutdown? Look at these numbers from the New York Times tonight. Look at this. This is for the tens of millions of Americans who get their health insurance through the online marketplaces. Look. Based on the newly posted information, meaning the pricing information that's now being posted in multiple states, a family of four making $130,000 in Maine, so you combine the family's income, everybody's salaries, you got to do $130,000, that family would face an increase.
Whether it is his Epstein scandal, Donald Trump's inability to negotiate an end to this government shutdown, or just the general chaos being caused by a Congress that doesn't know what it's doing and has all of its power stolen from it by Donald Trump to just fuck over Americans with tariffs that act as taxes on you, while Donald Trump cuts taxes for the wealthiest Americans in our country's history. Yet things aren't going too well for Donald Trump. And yet he thinks it's the problem of those in his party criticizing him for his awful policies and not the awful policies themselves. Well, of course, Donald Trump is confused, and so he was lashing out tonight in these two posts right here. Third-rate Congressman Thomas Massie, a weak and pathetic rhino from the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, a place I love and won big 6 times, must be thrown out of office ASAP. Trump also wrote, whatever happened to Senator Rand Paul? He was never great, but he went really bad. I got him elected twice in the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, but he just never votes positively for the Republican Party. He's a nasty little guy, much like Congressman Thomas Massie, aka Rand Paul Jr., also of Kentucky, which I won 3 times in a massive landslide. It's a sick wacko who refuses to vote for our great Republican Party, MAGA or America First. It's really weird. Now, I don't want to give too much credit to the political careers of Rand Paul and Thomas Massie, but it is difficult for Donald Trump, the guy who is wasting tens of billions of your tax dollars on Argentina and Israel, all while he makes things worse at home, refuses to pay veterans, shuts down the government, breaks our healthcare system, Social Security, everything that makes America run, to say that that guy is America first. Farmers are losing their farms that they've had for generations because Donald Trump is a moron who doesn't understand economic policy and is selling us out to not just China, allowing them to just bulldoze us in this trade war, but Donald Trump giving $20 billion, not $20 billion actually, but $40 billion to Argentina is also going to help the very soybean farmers there, the soybean farmers who are now selling to China, beat out our farmers. So Donald Trump is effectively, even more so than usual, fucking over farmers in America. The guys who are on bended knee praying to God that the tariffs stop, when they could have just voted, by the way. And I hate to do like the I told you so thing, because I don't really think that that brings people into the political coalition. I think you are allowed to have I told you so moments, because this 9 months, it feels like 9 years, has been pretty shit. So I don't think you need to be on your best behavior all the time. If you want to feel something and say, what the fuck is wrong with these people? They voted against their own interest. I was trying to help you. I tried to warn you, and you want to be pissed? Go for it. I'm not going to tell you not to. You should. But at the same time, I think that we just need to show these people the pain that they're experiencing and make it very clear and just level set that, okay, you can be an insecure little white guy and be afraid of the black woman becoming president, or you can allow the black woman to become president by voting for someone who will actually protect your interests. But that is not how Donald Trump sees it. That's not how MAGA sees it. And that is why he is lashing out. And it's also because these are two people who have been pretty outspoken, especially Thomas Massie, of course, and the work that he has done to elevate this issue of Donald Trump's Epstein scandal should be celebrated, is commendable. It's also in the back of his mind. You know, throughout this government shutdown, I think that we have really missed the mark on keeping the conversation around the Epstein files alive. I think that the work that Adelita Grijalva has done, the Congresswoman-elect, has been incredibly important. And not just talking about how this is a speed run, a trial run for trying to deny the results of free and fair elections in the House going forward, but to point out why. It's easy. It's Epstein. And I'm glad she's doing that. But there is a lot that is making it difficult for Donald Trump to keep his very, very low approval rating up. And Rachel Maddow broke down more of that right here.
Remember when it was just Harvard standing up and all the other universities were too intimidated to say no? Well, now even the ones that caved before or that signed deals before with Trump, places like Brown University, even those schools have now learned that maybe signing deals with Trump is not a good idea. Trying to appease him, trying to stay on his good side is folly. It just shows weakness. It invites him to come back and bully you some more. And so in quick succession, we have seen MIT and Brown and Penn and USC and now UVA as well. They've all told the Trump White House, no, we're not doing it. We're not signing on to your little compact to restrict our academic freedom and our ideological freedom of movement in order to try to keep you happy. No, we are not doing it. We have learned our lesson. Forget it. Pentagon press corps, all the real reporters at the Pentagon, even the ones from Fox News, this week all walked out in unison, telling Trump, no, we're not going to do it either. We're not going to agree to just write down what you tell us instead of doing actual journalism. No, we are not doing it. They walked out in unison, en masse. They told him no. In Chicago, we're seeing spontaneous protests in every city, neighborhood, and in every suburb against Trump's apparently untrained, totally out of their depth paramilitary dress-up immigration agents who, among other things, are now regularly tear-gassing Chicago police officers. A federal judge has now ordered Trump's federal agents from the bench, quote, you can't deploy tear gas. You can't use flashbang grenades. You can't drive a car through a crowd. You can't shoot them in the head with pepper balls. The judge has ordered that Trump's federal agents in Chicago must not only change their ridiculous tactics, they must now wear body cameras, and they must have them turned on. A different federal judge had ruled that the National Guard cannot be deployed to Illinois. That ruling has now been upheld by a unanimous 3-judge panel of a federal appeals court. In Washington, D.C., where Trump installed yet another Fox News host to be U.S. attorney in that city, they tried once, they tried twice, they tried 3 times to convince a grand jury to bring a felony criminal indictment against one D.C. resident who was part of a protest there. All 3 times, the grand jury refused to move ahead with those felony charges. Jeanine Pirro's office then instead finally charged this young woman with a misdemeanor for which they put her on trial. That was yesterday. The jury laughed them out of the courtroom and acquitted her yesterday afternoon after about a nanosecond of deliberation. As Trump continues to personally order up criminal indictments against people he doesn't like, James Comey, Tish James, now John Bolton. Tonight, 2 more veteran prosecutors have reportedly been fired after refusing to bring what they believe to be a baseless prosecution against New York Attorney General Tish James. Yesterday, in that district, in the Eastern District of Virginia, a judge who is Trump appointed took a moment, a dramatic moment from the bench at the conclusion of a big national security case, took a moment from the bench to praise James Comey's son-in-law, who recently resigned as a prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia when that office charged his father-in-law, James Comey.
Donald Trump continues to lose everywhere. The court of public opinion, courts themselves, Donald Trump is losing. He's losing 95% of his court cases, more than that. Right now, he is not inevitable. He is not strong. We can beat him, and we have to do it together. We're going to work to call him out on this show every single day. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to support the show in another way, you can click right here to subscribe to my Substack. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.